That's good. That's good. That's good. Yeah. Anyway, so I just got back from watching Star Wars Episode 9, and that was a very interesting movie, to say the least. Excuse me. I'm going to reserve judgment. I have to say, though, I like the Mandalorian more. Oh, yes, I know I blaspheme. But, what are you going to do? It was a very interesting movie in many regards. So at some point in the near future, I'll talk about that. But for now, what I'm going to talk about is the saber that you see before you. Voila! So this is a saber from. I got this off of eBay, and I had been. Often I'll go into eBay and I'll look up custom lightsabers, just that simple, and I'll go through. Excuse me again, all the different fare that's available, and I kept coming across these sabers that sort of look very organic and a little bit, a little bit crude. Sorry to the fellow. His name is Bob, who produces these. But there was just something about them that I really, really liked. They were unique. They're different. I haven't really seen any other sabers designed quite like this. And there was two in his store that I really liked, and it was this one, and there's one other that I think I'm going to get if it's available within a month or two, because I need to start focusing on spending my money on other things. And I received a notification via email saying that these were being offered to me, because I had looked at them apparently at a discounted price. So I just said, what the hey, I'll go ahead and order one. So I ordered this one because I thought it was the prettiest of the lot. And what this is a stunt saber that's pretty much designed for full combat. Full lightsaber combat without any risk that this saber is going to be damaged or destroyed. Its durability and artisanal appeal are paramount. This saber is made out of steel from one end to the other. It's a stunt saber with very simple electronics. Even though they're simple, they're not quite as simple as, say, what you would find on most stunt sabers, but simple enough to avoid having to worry about the inevitable demise of the electronics in the saber. So let's start. As you can see, there's no vents on the back. This end cap just screws off. There's a chassis here, just like what you would find on an Ultra Saber. Typically, it would hold 4 AAA batteries. This one, even though it's the same chassis, it only holds 3 AAA batteries, and the 4th slot is kind of rendered inert, so you can't put a saber in there. He took steps to make sure that you didn't attempt to do that, and I would assume that has something to do with the electronics and not overwhelming capacity of this switch and the Luxian LED. This is just a single LED. This one runs a deep blue. And so I'm just going to visually show you what we have here. I don't know what this process is. I wouldn't call it anodization. It's more of a heavy, it's painted. It just feels much more substantial than anodization. So I'm not exactly sure the process is. Anything I say is foolish. And would probably be inaccurate. So this has a D-clip, a very substantial D-clip. It would have to be, because this thing is steel. And although it's heavy, it's not heavy. It's perfectly balanced. It feels really good in the hand. This thing's marvelous. So there, as I said, you have a D-clip, and you work your way up to this trigger section, and you'll notice that this trigger is sort of a clicks on, clicks off, clicks on, clicks off, but it's recessed into the hilt so as to avoid accidentally turning it off or on during combat. As you can see, it's nary exposed by this little scallop bit right here. You can see a little bit of the trigger protruding, but although I haven't really wielded this too much, I mean, I gave it about good 20 or 30 swings and some major strikes. I'm not quite the swordsman that you're going to see from a lot of people that wield their sabers online. I'm a pretty simple simple fighter. I believe in powerful strokes and getting the job done. That's just me. So I imagine that these screws probably hold this assembly in. These are very resilient screws. They're very, very durable. This piece seems to be permanently fused to the hilt, so I don't worry about that coming off. It may even be kind of part of a lathing process that sort of generated this extrusion here. It's got a little bit of weathering here. This is kind of an interesting effect. Moving down, there's a lot of rivets in here. I'm not sure what half the rivets do. You hear that? This thing's solid. This thing is solid. You do not have to worry about this breaking, period. And that, I'm assuming, is the LED retention screw leading to the emitter. And here's where this saber really shines. So you have this acid etching, which is just really spectacular. You can feel this. This has texture. This is etched right into this finish. And it has a blade retention screw. Now, the instructions said to tighten this with the pliers, but I didn't want to do that because I didn't want to damage this because it's so beautiful. And I found hand tightening was sufficient because here's the blade. Now, this blade inserts all the way to here. This is all blade, all the way into this steel chassis, held on by this screw. This is not coming out under any circumstances. I have never had a saber that has such a blade depth for how far it goes in, because the LED is here. So that's really spectacular. Now, the emitter itself, as you can see, it's a very, very unique situation. I can't even describe it. It's an S-style emitter, and yet the geometry of it is so unique from every angle. You're never going to see another saber like this. I haven't even seen one of the ones that is available currently from this fella has a website and a Facebook page, and he also has obviously the eBay store. And there are others that have similar emitters, and he has to have created another saber that has this same kind of emitter, but I couldn't find one. So you have that. Now let's get to the blade. This blade is a beast. It's a heavy walled blade, and it has a diffusing film. And this is the heaviest blade that I've ever experienced. And here's the really interesting thing. We're eschewing aesthetics for the sake of producing a blade where you don't have to worry about the tip falling off. This is how the blade came. The tip is an insert. I can't really do this. That's an insert held on by a blade retention screw. And of course, this Hold on. I am not dexterous enough. It's kind of difficult because there's that. Hold on. I'm gonna get this figured out somehow. All right. Come hell or high. It has the freaking blade retention thing. It's kind of hard to balance. All right. Here we go. I'm getting it. All right. So this is actually smooth, but you can see how far it goes in. It's like clear. It goes in about 1/8 of an inch. That's how thick this blade is. And as I said, it's not really designed to be the most aesthetically pleasing thing on the face of the earth, but it's designed to cause damage. Now, an interesting thing is I was watching a video from a dueling club that had acquired some of these, and they were talking about how they had gone through kind of a seminar, and some of the people in this seminar were using advanced light weaponry, sabers, made out of steel. And at the end of the seminar, everyone who had an aluminum hilt, all of their hilts were broken. None of them survived. So there you go. This thing is made to cause destruction. Now, as far as Bob goes, on his website, he says that this was designed for balance and for kendo in mind, and generally speaking, it's designed, for a martial artist. And I have to say, based on my experience, that is perfectly balanced. That is marvelous. You have this in the hand. It doesn't feel back heavy or front heavy. It feels perfectly balanced. And it's very comfortable in the hand. There's no sharp edges whatsoever. Nothing to get hung up on. Everything's smooth. And nothing. You can hear the clip moving around, but that battery chassis doesn't move around. Nothing moves around. The only thing you feel when you strike something is the whole saber shakes because of this. It's just so solid. You feel it reverberate with solidness. All right. So, as I said, it has a Luxian LED, so let me turn this on. Now, this, for a saber that's thick-walled with all that diffusing film, and there's only about 30 inches of blade or so exposed here, so the length isn't too bad. I prefer something maybe a couple inches longer, but most of that is given up by being inserted all the way into the hilt, so you're sacrificing stability. For something that's running off of 3 AAA batteries, this is not bad at all. And there's almost like a crudeness to it. It looks like it was sanded on the outside, so there's inconsistencies in the color. And it kind of has that feeling of like a Corbin-style blade from the custom saber shop, where it's almost illuminated from the core. And that core, I don't know, it's hard to explain. Even this very crude tip illuminates very well. This is not bad for what you get. I mean, usually you sacrifice the quality of the brightness, but I don't feel like that's really an issue. And even if this isn't as bright as, say, most of the sabers that I have, the blade is constructed in such a way where it makes up for the shortcomings of any inadequacies that the LED or the power source may have. And it basically works. Yeah. So let's turn this off. When you remove the blade, which I'm not going to do, and you screw this in, it kind of makes contact with this little rubber washer thing, but it only goes in so far because you can't. I guess the point of, if I were to actually do some hard dueling, I'd probably give this a quarter turn with an actual wrench, which would bite into this blade a little bit just to make sure it's secure. But for my purposes, what I'm doing with it, this is sufficient. So I'm gonna try to give you like the visual tour just so you can see this etching one more time, and then I'll go to the other end of the blade. This does have a texture to it. But this reminds me, this also almost reminds me of, I was a graphic design major in college, and I took painting classes, and my experience with painting, this almost has like a feel like an acrylic, or just layer after layer after layer of very durable paint. It could be an anodization process that I'm just not familiar with. So forgive my naivete when it comes to the production of this saber. I'm as new to this as you are. I really like this pommel. This kind of gives you a nice tactile, feedback for your positioning, for your hand positioning on the hilt. This is a this saber is really tuned to both single hand and two handed handling of this hilt. It's a natural for both of those approaches to swordsmanship. I really love this D-ring. I think this is probably only the first of a handful of sabers that I'm going to have from this company that just doesn't seem to get quite the recognition it deserves. This guy does really amazing work. If you go to the website and you check the gallery, you're going to see some sabers that just will blow your mind. They're so beautiful. I feel very fortunate to have acquired this one. This is going to be a prized possession for me. This saber has found its forever home. He does some curved hilt type sabers, and they are amazing. I want to get one of those. And the other one that I sort of mentioned, kind of after seeing the Rise of Skywalker, there's kind of a reason why I sort of like this one particular hilt that he has available. It's sort of foreshadowed without even knowing that he was doing as such. Anyway, so yeah, I'll just swing this thing around a little bit. Hopefully I won't wreck anything, but yeah. So, my arm's a little bit sore tonight, so the only thing you hear are the rattling of the D-rings. Some people are kind of annoyed by, that sort of effect, but that doesn't bother me. You hear how solid that is? I must admit, I accidentally bonked myself in the head with this thing earlier. I thought I had given myself a concussion, but I'm all right. Fortunately, I've had enough concussions in one life to really not. One more won't really do much damage. Yeah, this thing is, oh God, this thing is just amazing. It's so... See? It hasn't turned on or off. I mean, it's pretty simple. It's just a stunt saber. But it's the preeminent ultimate stunt saber. And I love it. This thing's a keeper. So, as I said, I would recommend, if you're so inclined and you find this saber interesting, go give Bob a visit on Facebook and go see what he has on eBay. He has quite a few sabers still available on eBay. He has some other things like wands, and he's also kind of a prop maker, so he makes some other things that you might find interesting as well. And of course, he has a website, and I mean, you can have him make sabers for you. He will do custom work. So, and he has prices for all the different types of kinds of work that he does. So, yeah, there we go. So this is the preeminent combat stunt saber from um, Advanced Light Weaponry, and yeah, what you see is what you get. Basically, a glorious weapon that if you needed to actually defend yourself in real life, this is like the candlestick from Clue. You could take a human life with this thing just by bludgeoning someone to death with it. This thing's a beast. This thing, oh god. Anyway, I'm gonna stop gushing and let you guys carry on with your nights. And if you haven't seen The Rise of Skywalker, I definitely recommend seeing it. It's an odd movie, very very interesting, but it was definitely fun. I enjoyed it, and I'm probably gonna end up seeing it at least 2 more times, just to get the full gist of it. Yeah, and of course. We all want to see how The Mandalorian ends because, oh my god, what happened? Baby Yoda! I hope this ended up being spoiler free because I was definitely trying not to spoil anything for anybody. At any rate, that ends my sermon, and I hope everyone has a wonderful rest of the weekend. I'm off to New York tomorrow to do my annual trip with a friend of mine, and so I won't have too many videos for you tomorrow. Fortunately, I'll be all over the place. At any rate, I hope you enjoyed this, and I hope you're not feeling blue by this review. I'll catch y'all later. Thanks for watching. Bye.